RDTDaily.com presents a Tarabuster with comedian Tara Devlin.
Yo, oh no, what's up? Hello, can you hear me? I know, it looks very dark in here. Let me see. And whatever, it's better off that way. Hi, my name is Tara Devlin, and this is unapologetic liberal talk on the right side of history, decency, dignity, democracy, and humanity. And that's not too much to ask, is it, Republicans? I see the chat room at youtube.com/C for channel/Tarabuster is filling up with normal people and a couple of bots from Russia. Oh yeah, you think I'm being hyperbolic? Come on over. You'll see them. And thankfully, Haiku is in the chat room. Our chat room monitor, Haiku. He's fair. He's fair but stern. Not like me. I'm unfair and stern. I'll just kick them on out. All right. No, I'm just kidding. If they can behave themselves. If the fascists come in and they can behave themselves and they don't start picking their nose or something or flinging poop, which is what they do. It doesn't take long for that to happen because that's all. What do you got? We're on the right side of history. What do they have? A case in point, I just had a little, I was on Twitter earlier as I was telling you my experiences on there. And of course, a right-winger, whatever. I was talking about West Virginia. There are a lot of right-wingers going on Twitter defending Joe Manchin right now, saying that he's doing what his constituents want by blocking Build Back Better. They're just talking about Build Back Better. Never mind democracy itself. You know, they don't care about that. But so I made a comment. So the people of West Virginia don't want to go to a dentist. They don't want to pay $35 for insulin, right? And that, whatever. He just can't hold. They just can't hold their own. And then it just goes right into go smoke, stop smoking meth. It just goes right into pejoratives. And what does that say? It means they have nothing, and they know it. And as far as the name calling is concerned, honestly, haven't we had enough of that? I know I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the cruelty. And frankly, we're the whole goddamn country's sick. I think we have collective PTSD. All right, let me just, oh God, what? I see the super chats. Thank you, Jim, for your super chat right out of the gate. Jim sets the standard. Thank you so much. And Richard W., thank you for your super chat. Another great show. Tara, we haven't even gotten off the ground. Wait till you see the show. It's going to be great. And thank you, Pookie's Mama Irene. Buenas noches, mi gente. You're making me speak Spanish now? I can't even say Spanish. I'm saying Spanish, not Spanish. But buenos noches. What did I take in school? I think I took Italian. I had a choice. I should have taken Spanish. Anyway, whatever. Who cares? Obviously, if I have to think about it, it didn't stick. I'm an American. I could barely speak English, right? So we're going to have a very special guest coming up at around 8:30. Jeffrey Vogel from the New York City Labor Chorus. That's why I'm wearing this shirt. He gave me a shirt, you see? That's why I do this show. Because I get shirts and crap like that. It's not crap. Excuse me. I get shirts, beautiful shirts. And it does fit me. So, So we're going to talk about labor and really and labor history and the New York City Labor Chorus and that a different kind of activism that they do. Keeping the memory of just the labor movement as itself. The American people are dumb. I hate to say it. And they're getting dumber by the second thanks to the Republicans who are banning books now. We got to that stage. We went to the book banning stage. I'm wondering when the book burning begins because that's happening. It's going to happen. Everything that we fear it will come to fruition. And I really, I don't want to talk about, camps or anything. Let's keep the normal people in charge. That's what's so depressing, I have to say. Isn't it depressing to live in a country where the abnormal people who would rather eat horse pills and drink urine? I mean, these are the cures, and take so-called cures for COVID rather than just take a vaccine that over 4 billion human beings have taken without incident. It's fascinating. I wish it was merely fascinating. You can look at it from afar, sort of like Jane Goodall studying the apes, but no. Well, Jane Goodall got involved. I mean, if Jane Goodall studied the chimpanzees, she would probably just put out her hand. She'd probably pull back a bone because they'd bite it off. And that's how they are. They don't see. It's really okay. Another thing happened on. I'm telling you, my day arguing with conservatives online, but it was just interesting. I was kind of monitoring this conservative Reddit group just to see what the traders are up to. And, of course, they went on about vaccines and how it was tyranny and how some other actress now doesn't want to take a vaccine and she's afraid of freedom, right? So I just said, I went, George Washington mandated the vaccine when that required getting cut with an infected knife under your skin. And so you little ouchie wouchies can't boo boo, right? They don't want to boo boo. And I also said it's a shame that you didn't become enlightened to your vaccine tyranny, to this vaccine tyranny before you took the vaccine for mumps, rubella, polio, on and on. Pneumonia. I mean, there was there's about, I think it was 16 vaccines altogether, whatever. I might be, it's double digits vaccine required to go to school here in the United States of Serfs and Lords. And so I said, that's a shame, you guys didn't get enlightened before, because it would help, really. Darwin, let's go Darwin, right? And I was banned immediately. I mean, I guess that was a little snotty. But the other thing is they have an aversion to truth, right? And also the hypocrisy is beyond stomach churning, especially now with Joe Biden promising to nominate an African American, a woman with darker pigment, as we call it, which is the way it should be called. And that's why we're going to talk about the labor movement with Jeff when he comes on. But race is a construct, and the Republicans are not letting go. They need it to keep people divided. There's no race. There's only humans. There's the human race. I might have the pigment of Casper the Ghost. Some do. You might have some other kind of pigment, but that doesn't mean anything. It's absolutely a distinction without a difference. If I needed an organ transplant or a blood transplant, it wouldn't be, is it somebody with darker pigment? Or, because we're human beings. As long as you get the blood type, right? You're fine. And it doesn't matter who it comes from, what pigment the person has. It's just so goddamn ridiculous, isn't it? And I hope we get to the point where people start, want to talk about woke? Yeah, we're woke, buddy. There's nothing wrong with that. Being woke is a good thing. Go back to sleep and burn your books. Go back to sleep and give both sides of Nazism. This is what's happening in this country, and it's goddamn embarrassing. And we have visitors Well, yeah, not visitors, people who come to our chat room here from other countries. And frankly, I'm embarrassed. The regulars who come in, and I'm not embarrassed. I mean, they must be. It must be like watching a train wreck. And it's really a shame because we have a lot of potential. And that's what we're trying to do. And that's what the labor movement accomplished, or began to, at least. It was the middle class was created by the union movement. And in fact, one of the conservatives, the so-called, well, the fascists really, who they're not conservatives anymore. If you're a Trumpanzee, there's nothing conservative about that. You're really kind of a traitor. We'll be right back. But right, nothing conservative about dragging America back to the intergenerational aristocracy that the founders fought a revolution to overthrow. And that's what they're doing. And someone on one of the Joe Manchin defenders, and I'm not quite entirely convinced that these are not what Republicans are notorious for, which is they create bot accounts, they create fake accounts, and they're getting rather sophisticated. So, and they flood the social media platforms because they know that the billionaires fund this, and they know that, right? And well, also Russia, right? We're being inundated with that. But they want their kiss up, kick down, anti-American message to be ubiquitous, no matter where anyone goes. They just want it to be there. Oh crap! Oh, I thought my audio froze, but it's not. The time cues. It looks like it's still going. But they created race, and now they're not the Republicans specifically, not our generation. It was created back. Well, let's go. Okay. Before we get Jeff on the air in 15 minutes. Let me see. Where the heck is it? This is from Facing History. In Virginia, in the 1600s, Anthony Johnson secured his freedom from indentured servitude, acquired land, and became a respected member of his community. Elizabeth Key successfully appealed to the colony's legal system to set her free after she'd been wrongfully enslaved. By the 1700s, the laws and customs of Virginia began to distinguish black people from white people, making it impossible for most Virginians of African descent to do what Johnson and Key had done. Why did Virginia lawmakers make these changes? Many historians point to an event known as Bacon's Rebellion in 1676 as a turning point. Nathaniel Bacon was a wealthy white property owner and relative of Virginia's governor, William Berkeley. But Bacon and Berkeley did not like each other, and they disagreed over issues pertaining to how the colony should be governed, including the colony's policy towards Native Americans. Bacon wanted the colony to retaliate for raids by Native Americans on frontier settlements and to remove all Native Americans from the colony so landowners like himself could expand their property. So, okay, we'll move forward. A power struggle ensued with Bacon and his militia on one side and Berkeley and the Virginia House of Burgesses and the rest of the colony on the other. Months of conflict followed, including armed skirmishes between militias. In 1676, Bacon's militia captured Jamestown and burned it to the ground. The events in Jamestown were alarming to the planter elite, who were deeply fearful of a multiracial alliance, indentured servants and slaves. Word of Bacon's rebellion spread far and wide, and several more uprisings of a similar type followed in an effort to protect their superior status, so-called, and economic positions. The planters shifted their strategy for maintaining dominance. They abandoned their heavy reliance on indentured servants in favor of the importation of more black slaves. After Bacon's Rebellion, Virginia lawmakers began to make legal distinctions between white and black. By permitting enslaving Virginians of African descent and giving, by permanently enslaving Virginians of African descent and giving poor white indentured servants and farmers some new rights, they hoped to separate the two groups and make it less likely that they would unite again in rebellion. Historian Iron Berlin explains, soon after Bacon's Rebellion, they increasingly distinguished between people of African descent and people of European descent. They enact laws which say that people of African descent are hereditary slaves, and they increasingly give some power, just a little bit, to the independent white farmers and landholders. Now, what is interesting about this is that we normally say that slavery and freedom are opposite things, that they are diametrically opposed. But what we see here in Virginia in the late 17th century around Bacon's Rebellion is that freedom and slavery were created at the same moment, legally. According to the Oxford Dictionary, the first appearance in print of the adjective white in reference to a white man, a person of race distinguished by light complexion, like this ghostly pallor I have, was in 1671. Colonial charters and other official documents written in the 1600s and early 1700s rarely refer to European colonists as white, as the status of people of African descent in the British colonies was challenged and attacked, and as white indentured servants were given new rights and status, the word white continued to be more widely used in public documents and private papers to describe the European colonists. People of European descent were considered white. Those of African descent were labeled black. That's where it began. Many of the European-descended poor whites began to identify themselves, if not directly, with the rich whites. And that was by design. Certainly with just being white. And here you get the emergence of this idea of a white race as a way of distinguishing themselves from those darker-skinned people who were in the state of perpetual slavery. It's such a game. And we don't have to play it. This is the kind of stuff that Republicans don't want in school. And this is what is keeping the American middle class from just for us to have a functioning democracy that isn't just a statement of irony on a piece of paper. And that's what Republicans are turning it into. They want that. They need us to be divided, especially along racial lines. That's what sickens me, guys, and you too. We're all sick from it, but honestly, I say it all the time on the show, I am sick of them falling for it. They fall for it all the time. Their racism is so fundamental to their being, and I guess when we go Psych 101 on it, it's because just like in the 1600s, the white people want to associate with their rich oligarch masters, rather than people just a little lower on the ladder. But the fact is, we have more in common with each other, the whole working class, than we ever will with someone like, just take one out of the Jeff Bezos for this. For that matter, or pick one, Elon Musk. All of them. The fact that we continue to allow the existence of these billionaires, which are really a cancer in our economy. Hold on. Be right back. Tarabuster. All right. Like I was saying, the fact that we allow the status, something called billionaires in our economic system is really goes to show how successful they've been at this game, which started in the 1600s. And as far as history is concerned, that's the blink of an eye. It really is. Especially, well, the United States, less than 250 years old. When you think about that in the context of history, that's nothing. It's so concerning, frankly, that we're in such deep crap now, and we're not even 300 years old. At least the Roman Republic lasted 500 years before it collapsed completely. So I'm reading from a website called facinghistory.org, and it doesn't have a name. It doesn't have an author. It must be an editorial. So let's see. I just want to finish it up. It's very short. Okay, the division in American society between black and white that began in the late 1600s had devastating consequences for African Americans as slavery became an institution that flourished for centuries. Lawyer and civil rights activist Brian Stevenson explains, slavery deprived the enslaved person of any legal rights or autonomy and granted the slave owner complete power over men, women, and children of darker pigment. I changed that. Legally recognized them as property. Disgusting, but not unexpected. It's money, you know. It's all about greed. Always has been. They don't give a crap if they divide and conquer the whole damn country. Could be a heap of ashes, as long as they could be king of the ashes, like they said on Game of Thrones. Okay, American slavery was often brutal, barbaric, and violent. In addition to the hardship of forced labor, enslaved people were maimed or killed by slave owners as punishment for working too slowly. Visiting a spouse living on another plantation, this is something that could get you killed. Or even learning to read, especially that. And because they knew, as we all know now, that education makes you less of a dupe. That's why Republicans are passing their white fragility laws. It's really out of control. I don't see how are there any normal people in the Republican Party? You're voting for this. If you want it, you vote for. I don't give a crap. If you voted for Trump because you think he's good for your wallet, you're a Nazi. You're for book burning. You're for anti-democracy. You're for gerrymandering beyond all reason. You're for such obstacles to register to vote. It's laughable and shocking how they could really look at themselves and look at themselves in the mirror, like the Arizona law requiring passports and fingerprints to register. That's what all 18-year-olds want to do, right? When they register, no more get out the vote campaigns on campus or whatever. You got to go get a passport. It's like $250 for a passport. They're so out in the open by it and for it, and it's not. They don't even have to hide it, because they are so. They're confident in the stupidity of their base, that their base. They're not watching news. They're not reading news. Like Trump said, I'll tell you what to think and what's real. The guy with the fake university and the fake vitamin scam. He's going to tell them what's real. So now they're telling them that burning books, or we're just up to it's the same old. We're up to the banning books. stage. Here in the land of the free, right? The land of the fragile and the home of the dupes. And thank you, Errol Thomas, for your super chat. When will Republic clowns ever gonna learn how to quit being so delusional? I don't know. They like it. And it's because, I'm telling you guys, we analyze them. I analyze myself. I'm only here because I've had a lot of therapy throughout my life. So, but the reason they're so easily duped is because they're racist. That's it. They like the guy who screamed immigrant and threw a shake at those teenagers at the shake stand and said immigrant like it's a pejorative, like that guy. And then his lawyer releases a statement saying he's not racist. Get the F out of here. Get the fuck out of here, right? As Winston Smith says on the chat, Hitler burned books, Stalin burned books, Mao burned books, Pol Pot burned books. All of them did so after having banned those books. Oh, we will see. They even talked about it. I wonder if I have that clip. The one of these freak shows that they call community meetings. Somebody was like, we need to ban these books, and they're like, yeah, and then they're like, as far as I'm concerned, just throw them on the pile and burn them, and everybody's like, yeah. That's because they lack intellectual curiosity to even read a history book. If it doesn't come from Tuckyo Rose's taint, they're not inhaling it, and that's Tucker Carlson's new name. You know, they're calling him Tuckyo Rose. Doesn't quite roll off the tongue, but because he's a traitor. They're playing his clips on Russian television. I mean, it's unbelievable. And these people think they're patriots, right? That's what I keep saying. That's why I say we are the patriots. We're on the right side of history. Decency, dignity, democracy, humanity. We're trying to make a more perfect union. E pluribus unum is our rallying cry. We don't leave anybody behind. Even though, no matter what pigment. We're not that dumb. Right? Yes. And as Tucker says, too, he's not racist. But he's a propagandist. He's a propagandist. Oh, don't tell me. Don't tell me the damn. You see what happened? What time is it? I have to figure this out. The stupid audio stopped. So we had 2 breaks, right? We started around 8. Okay. I'll have to wing it. We had about 2, let me see, 30 minutes in. I have to call Jeff in a minute. I got you. Hold on. So let me see. See what happens to my life when it unravels. We'll go from here. No, I'm not there. What the fuck? Hold on.
RDT Daily.
Everything's going off the rails. Why can't I play it from here? Come on, nah. There we go. That's right. I'll have to cut all this out. Another night spent fixing this shit. That'll be cut out too. All right, we'll take it from here. All right, we're back with unapologetic liberal talk on the right side of history, decency, dignity, democracy. That, all right, I was gonna, let me just stop rambling and let's get Jeff in here. Let's see if I can do that. Jeffrey Vogel from the New York City Labor Chorus. Let's hope I can put him in the, let's see. It's always a challenge. Okay. Add. Bang. Bing, bong, boom. Bong, bing. All right. Are we working? Is it happening?
I got to turn on my video.
Yes. That helps. Let's do it.
Is it on now?
Let me see. Hold on. I see you, but I didn't. Let me loop you in. We're live, by the way. We're going. People are watching.
Oh,
But they
okay.
understand that, we don't have funding from the Koch brothers. That we have to. This is what we do. Wait, hold on. Where the heck is Ecamm? I'm having a problem. I mean, this is a one-man band, so every little button it's hard to find sometimes. Hold on. What the fuck?
I see myself.
No, you're fine. You're fine. It's me. Let me see. Hide others. Okay. Why can't I get you in here? Fucking Ecamm. Why are you... I'm having trouble. Of course. Don't worry, guys. We'll get it. I can't restart. Let me see. Boom. I see you. Oh, here we go. Jeff. Okay, good. We got you. Sorry about that.
I don't see you, but that's okay.
You don't? You should see me. Hold on.
I just see a little picture.
Oh, okay. That's because of that. That's
I'll
because
see you.
of that.
Okay.
Now we're together. You should probably move up a little, or just so you don't look so small next to me. It's okay. You're on the air. You're on the air right now. So Jeff, what's going on? How you doing? We're talking to Jeffrey Vogel, and as you're the publicist.
Vogel.
Oh, Jeff, you should have told me. I made it Jeffrey. That's okay, right? So Jeff is with the New York City Labor Chorus, and tell me about that. Tell me about, when did you start with the chorus, and just a little bit of background.
Me and my wife, Brenda, we were working together as respiratory therapists at Beth Israel Hospital. And I was pretty active in my union, which is 1199 Healthcare Workers Union.
Mm-hmm.
And so they notified me that that this chorus was going to be starting, this labor chorus, back in September of 1991.
Wow.
So me and my wife both went to the first rehearsal.
Oh, wow. You've been with it that long.
Yeah.
Wow, from the beginning. That's great.
Very, very beginning. Yeah. So the first rehearsal, the early rehearsals were in the union headquarters of the American Federation of Musicians. And I believe Pete Seeger came to our first rehearsal, our first few rehearsals, actually.
That's great.
He was instrumental in the founding of our chorus. And he led us to our first director, Jeffrey Fairweather, who was from Jamaica. So we've been there from the very beginning.
And so I know that you have you commemorate what do you do with the labor chorus? You have different. You haven't really been getting together since the pandemic, but you're starting rehearsals again, right?
Well, we were 18 months on Zoom rehearsal, which was pretty difficult, but kept us together. And we had about 50 people coming onto the Zoom, and so then when the pandemic started to recede, we started to rehearse in person again, briefly. Now we're back to Zoom, and hoping maybe sometime in February we can resume in-person rehearsal again. But you have to be vaccinated, and we're wearing masks at rehearsal.
And you're recruiting. Oh, you're always recruiting, right? How do you get involved? I'm going to play some of your stuff, but
yes, we are. We've got all. We're basically now a chorus of. We used to be all working people. Now basically we're all retirees, and we need an infusion of young people,
right?
Young voices. But yes, we have a very committed group, because during this pandemic, we usually have a raise money by some of our singing that we do, and we have a big fundraising concert that we do every couple of years that we had to postpone that. So our members have stepped up, and so we've been able to continue to pay our choral director, our wonderful choral director Jana Ballard, and our wonderful keyboard player Dennis Nelson.
So you have professionals, and I'm just trying to find the video, but I might have to play it off of YouTube but I have. Let me see. Let me just play something so people will know what we're talking about. Hold on.
What we're singing about.
Yes. This is the Hallelujah chorus.
Oh, okay. Our version of the Hallelujah.
That you wrote the lyrics for, rewrote.
Which we call Life on Earth So Amazing, Hallelujah. And where'd you get that shirt from?
I got it from you.
Really?
I pointed it out earlier to everybody.
Looks good on you, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I usually don't wear red because I'm already red and white. I'm just red and white.
And we're all pretty blue.
Totally.
Yeah, for more than one reason. So.
All right.
Should I keep talking or should
No,
I
you can keep talking. Hold on. I'll lower this. We can have it in the background.
I can't hear it.
Oh, okay. We have, yeah. You can go. Keep. I mean, I really am interested in the other activism work you do, like the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory Fire Memorial, and that's, to me, is very important to let people know the history. It's very sad that people don't know the history, that people died for the weekend and whatnot. So you do that every year, right?
Yes, but I mean, under normal circumstances, in March of every year, New York City actually has a very lovely memorial to the 150 or so women who perished back in 1911. That disastrous fire caused, and their deaths were caused because their boss had locked the door so they couldn't get out.
Right. There were other violations, like stuff was piled places it shouldn't be. I mean, it was just greed. Completely, these women were, and also there were doors that, and the fire escape. That's what happened too, because I was reading up on it. The fire escape failed because they never maintained it. It was just ramshackle, and all they did was pour money into their own pockets, and the women were nothing. And it's evident. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
So the city puts on a very dramatic memorial every year at the site of the fire. The building is now part of NYU.
So what do they do? You say every year they have a memorial or a vigil or something. What do? They commemorate it, right?
The fire department has an important role because back when this fire took place, their ladders wouldn't reach enough women. So they read the names of all the women who perished.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, it's actually, and then we sing, and they have speakers, and it's and they have school children attending.
It's really when I have to. I mean, I'm a crier, like I told you, but I have to say, when I was first watching your chorus videos, it brought a tear to my. I'm thinking about it now. Just the lyrics and the spirit are really what's missing, I believe. The background on the chorus: 25 years of singing songs of labor, civil rights, women's rights, songs to fight the horrors of war, nuclear war, drone war, all war, singing to save Mother Earth. Hold on, we'll be right back with Jeffrey Vogel, New York City Labor Chorus. I called you Jeffrey again, sorry.
Okay.
So we're back with Jeff Vogel from the New York City Labor Chorus talking about, I mean, this is another way, if you're in New York, if you're in the tri-state area, this is a way to do some activism and also reduce stress too. Some people want, they go to the picket lines. This is another way to express your frustration, the activism, and to get the word out. I mean, I would do it, I guess, if I had time. I know you're trying to recruit me, but maybe one day. But I'm old. I'm not a young person. I may look young and act it, but I'm not young and fresh.
You'd bring down the average age of our chorus considerably.
Well, a lot of people, this is part of the problem too. People have no time, and that's because there's this new paradigm. Well, I guess it's not that new of working your main job, and then you have your side job, you have your side hustle. I mean, this is like, who wants to live like that? And they're even advertising about it. We were talking about it on the show last time. I saw an ad for Uber, for Uber drivers, and the ad goes, "Oh, my son needed wrestling shoes, and I'll be right back." And then he goes out and he drives Uber, comes back, and he's like, "This is great. I could do my main job, and then I can do this in my spare time." This is what you want to do in your spare time? You want to do another job in your spare time. Why doesn't your main job pay enough? People are and this is what it's being conditioned, and our history is really being erased, especially labor history. I would be shocked if I saw a school with a labor course, frankly, especially a high school or something, right?
Yes, very. The labor history is largely unknown by most.
Mm-hmm. And the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire was the birth of the New Deal. That's what Francis Perkins. Why can't I talk? I don't know. Sometimes words get stuck, but Frances Perkins was who was the first female cabinet secretary. She was FDR's cabinet secretary. I can't remember right now off the top of my head what role. I think she was somebody that FDR sent to the UK before he was president. He sent her to the UK to study their social safety net, because the New Deal basically had a trial run here in New York before FDR took it nationally. And that's because Frances Perkins was a witness of the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire, and it was an outrage to people that Clara Lemlich, one of the workers who worked in the garment union, before the union, of course, she stirred the workers to have an uprising, a general strike, and things did change. But the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire was so the uprising of the 20,000 came before the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire, and that factory was the only factory that didn't adopt some new safety rules after the uprising of the 20,000. And that's why, I mean, on top of it, people were outraged already. And then, in fact, I read a statistic that 1 in 10 people who lived in New York City at that time knew people that had died in the fire. So it was sort of like their 9/11, where it changed things. It changed the paradigm. But unfortunately, we're making all the grounds that we made, all the moves forward. We really have taken a few steps back. And so let me ask you, Jeff, when you're out there and you're singing and what is the reaction you get from people who maybe don't even know about the labor chorus?
Well, I guess for the most of our performances are, for people who are already
right. So you're singing to the choir's singing to the choir.
To the choir, which we need to expand our outreach.
Right.
Sure, and hopefully maybe this is one way to do it.
I hope.
Although is this the choir, the preaching to the choir here as well?
No, well, we are. We're preaching to the normal people, but I think that people are looking for ways to do activism. Frankly, I think this is a great way because you're also you're educating people. I had your list of songs somewhere, and it's not just about labor. I mean, like it says on the sheet about talking about a quarter of a century of battling injustice with song, and there's songs about women's history and just activism in general. Speaking up for the underdog, and we don't have enough of that. That's for sure.
When I think about what our chorus represents, it's really the voice of working people singing for a world of peace and justice, live decent lives in harmony. That's really, and our repertoire reflects that. We have a very varied repertoire, and if people go to our website.
Yes, I have your link in the description. But so how does somebody apply, let's say? They want,
Well, normally we have auditions once or twice a year, and I expect that we will reopen for auditions once things get more back to normal. So if they go to the website, there'll be a announcement on the website about it, and there's also a phone number to call for information on the website.
That's great. The thing is, I was because you had told me to go that the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory Fire Memorial was really close to where we live. I mean, I met Jeff in the neighborhood here in the parking lot. We live in the same building complex. Just coincidentally started talking, and
well, it wasn't coincidentally. You were charging your Prius, and I
right. Right. That's true. And you were asking about it, right? That's how it happened. And then you were like, "What's all this cat crap here?" Because I had just I had my little Tara Jr. with me. That's right. We came from the vet, but also my cat is just like a catmobile. It has food for the community cats. That's basically why I have a car. I don't really need it other than to get to the community cats. But you were telling me I didn't know because I ride my bike everywhere, but I had no idea about the memorial in Mount Zion Cemetery. Am I correct?
Right. That's right. Yes, there's a memorial to the Triangle Shirtwaist victims at the Jewish cemetery in the neighborhood. Yeah.
And the thing that I didn't go see it personally, but then as I was doing research, I came across something about that memorial. Somebody's trying to renovate it. It's it's losing its the names are being washed off of it, which is so sad, and it's really also emblematic. It's they've been erased in many people's consciousness as it is, and now the memorial is kind of melting away, which is heartbreaking. So I saw something, and someone, I wonder if they restored it. This was, I'll take a ride when the snow clears, because I want to go there. I do, but I know when I go there, I will probably start weeping. I mean, this is what I do in my spare time. I go around weeping in front of. It's true. I rode my bike to FDR, to the Four Freedoms Park one day, and I'm standing there just crying, reading the inscription, because I cry for the country, really. I feel that we have so much work to do. And people are so divided, so stupidly, along racial lines, but it's the working class. And so you've been an activist for a while. How did you look for the New York City Labor Chorus?
I was raised. My parents were. They raised me on the music of Paul Robeson and Pete Seeger.
It's okay. You can wrap it. Hold on. We'll be right back with Jeffrey Vogel from the New York City Labor Chorus. All right, we're back with Jeff Vogel, New York City Labor Chorus.
As I was saying, I was raised on the music of Pete Seeger and Paul Robeson, and I don't know how many people in your audience are familiar with both of those names.
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
So many people have never heard of Paul Robeson in particular.
Yes.
Anyway, so when the singing opportunity came up that related to the singing that they did, I jumped at it. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it sounds like a healthy way too, frankly, to, I don't know, deal with what's going on. And I mean, because singing, it's such a human thing to connect and to express yourself like that, and to sing for peace, justice, everything. Supposedly the American way is beautiful, really.
These Pete Seeger, Paul Robeson devoted their careers to singing for peace and justice, and that's they provide our chorus tremendous inspiration, and we had the privilege of singing, and the privilege and honor of singing at Pete Seeger's 90th birthday.
Oh, wow.
At Madison Square Garden. And we sang for what would have been Paul Robeson's 100th birthday.
Oh, wow.
At Carnegie Hall. So those are two of the highlights of our 30 years of singing.
That's incredible. And I have to say, I'm ashamed to say that I wasn't as familiar with Paul Robeson as I should be. And when you mentioned it, I did a kind of dive on it, and he's an incredible man, was an incredible man, and also to live in that time, with darker pigment, and to be such a Renaissance man, and so oppressed in certain places. It's crazy, really, living in the Jim Crow and whatnot. So.
And then being branded
right.
Living McCarthy period, being branded a communist, and all that he suffered as a result of it. Yeah.
And such contributions to American culture and just politics in general, also being kind of whitewashed or erased slowly from history. I like I said, I was not familiar when you told me, and I started looking into it, and I was like, of course, I heard of him, but I didn't know. And I'm somebody, right, who should know. I'm somebody who is, interested in this stuff. So if I don't know, God, I'm sure
Right.
a lot of people don't.
How many other people don't know?
Exactly. So let's see. I have another. Let's play this other. If I can find it. Let's see. I like this one. This is from the Clara Lemlich Awards.
So your audience can hear this now?
Yes,
Okay, 'cause I can't hear it. Okay,
because it's okay.
that's fine. That's good.
I mean, that's some. This is what made me cry. I'm sure I would have been like that if I was there, like.
Can I say something during this?
Yes,
song?
of course.
So this is the labor anthem, "Solidarity Forever."
Yes.
But it's called "Rocking Solidarity Forever." Pete Seeger introduced us to this new version,
Oh wow.
and that's our soloist, a wonderful soloist, Denise Jones, singing there. And
She's great.
At the Clara Lemlich Awards. That's a yearly
Mm-hmm.
event at
And-
the the Museum of the City of New York.
Oh, really?
We sing at that every year.
Oh, that's great.
It honors senior women who have devoted years of activism,
Right.
social justice.
And that's how we keep Clara's name alive, because she was really a badass bitch, really. Didn't take no for an answer, and knew that this country could be better and demanded it for everybody. So,
Indeed, yes, indeed.
well, thank you so much, Jeffrey, or Jeff, whatever you call yourself these days. Whatever you're calling yourself. No, I'm only kidding. Thank you for everything, for appearing on the show and talking about the New York City Labor Chorus. I needed it, really, because I'm kind of stressed. So this makes me feel better. It does.
Well, thank you so much, Tara, for having me on, and I do hope some of your listeners will come in and maybe sing with us.
Yeah.
Or they can, if they go to our website, they can purchase some CDs.
Yep.
And support us that way.
Mm-hmm.
And
what about the shirts? Do you have shirts on your website? No, it's okay.
No, we don't.
I'm only kidding. I don't mean to put you on the spot.
By the way, our chorus has done some work internationally. You know, we went.
Right.
We sang in Sweden, in Canada, Wales.
Oh, wow. That's great. So if you join the chorus, you could go around the world, maybe.
Sang in Cuba in 2011.
Oh, why don't you take me to Ireland and leave me there?
It was the last trip we took just before the pandemic was in. We went to sing in Puerto Rico.
Oh, wow. Well,
So,
there is hope, because people are still out there and fighting for on the right side of history. Thank you so much, Jeff.
All right, Tara. Thank you.
I'll talk to you later.
See you in the hood.
You got it. Bye-bye. I had everything on mute by accident. Woo! Nice. That song brought tears to my eyes. I know, I cry a lot. I do. It can't be helped. Look where I live. Hi, I'm back. Could you hear me? No, that's not me. That's me. All right, guys. Thanks so much. I want to thank Jeff. What the hell? Why can't I say his name the way he wants to? I want to thank Jeffrey for appearing and giving the plug to the New York City Labor Chorus. If, frankly, I'm not kidding. If, maybe I'll hang up the Tarabuster hat and go sing in Cuba. If they go to Ireland, I'm telling you, it's going to be hard. Not coming back. Yes, that's right. And it's just, I can't wait to be able to go and see the New York City Labor Corps in person. Feel that just the vibration of human connection, fighting for the American way, the American dream. All right, we'll be right back with Tarabuster. Unapologetic liberal talk. That's right. All right, this is Tara Devlin. Yeah, so you know what? For those who aren't, it's very, I don't know. I'm not a good interviewer. I'll try. I try. I get kind of, you know how it is. You've seen it. I just don't know sometimes what to say. But I hope it was really, we got the point across. I would. But I will. I know for a fact I will go see the New York City Labor Chorus in person sometime, next time they play, because I need that. It is good for your mental health, too. Just get out there and sing. Sing about truth, justice, the American way, peace, leaving no one behind. When you think of that, well, I don't know about you, when I say those words, just saying those words makes me feel better. Because we're I mean, that's a whole other thing. We're all connected. We know that. I can talk to you about that. And I want to thank you, River, for your very, very generous super chat. Thank you so much, River. And thank you, JL's a J, for your amazing super chat. Thanks, Tara. I cry a lot more lately because of all the sacrifice for this country. The utter beauty of that. Tears are hope. Yeah. The tears show us we're alive. You know, when I get really down, which happens approximately every 20 minutes for the last 50 years, I think about the people that we talk about here on the show. The people like those young men lying in Calvary Cemetery right now who gave their lives fighting fascism. And I think, what do I have to complain about? They would love the luxury of a bad day, those young men. So we owe it to them to honor their sacrifice and make this world a better place for all. And it is possible. And I have no doubt. I know you guys know. Sometimes I can see the future. It's true. I wish I could see the lottery numbers, but I can feel in my bones that one day people, I'm not sure about America yet, but people will understand that race is a construct used to divide the working people of this earth, and there are more of us. You see what they do? We just read the article, the history article about the 1600s. That's why the Republicans are against teaching anything about our actual history. Teaching that we were founded as a slave. See, this is the thing. That's what they don't want us to get to the bottom of. If you go and explore the 1619 Project and you read about the first enslaved people that came here, and you will inevitably find out that they created this divide legally to keep the indentured servants and the enslaved people from getting together and demanding a civilization that works for all. That's all. That's all they wanted. That's all we want. And we're going backwards, but that's a response to how far we've come. You see, and it's also goes to show us yet again that there is no final victory, there is no final defeat. As that famous quote goes, you fight the same battles again and again. It's really true. Just like, for example, I talk about being in recovery. It's like that. Every day, you gotta make a commitment and determine: are you gonna take it a day at a time? You know what I mean? Are you going to remain on the right side of history? So that's why the Republicans are going after and passing these laws, which is, they should really be embarrassed. That's the other thing. How fragile. Aren't you embarrassed, white people? Aren't you embarrassed to be so fragile? These are the freedom guys, right? They love freedom. Freedom to be. They really want freedom to be an a-hole. To be, I mean, it used to be political correctness. It was they were tedious enough about that. Because all political correctness is being a decent person. That's it. Like when Jeffrey, well, see, I get it again. Like when Jeff said, "Please call me Jeff," I try to call him Jeff. I may fail at that because for some reason I have Jeffrey stuff stuck in my mind. It's probably because Jeffrey Giraffe, who's on the chat. I blame you. I don't think Jeffrey's there now, but he's always there. Some in my mind. That's what I blame. But you know what I'm saying? If somebody wants to say, "Please call me this, please call me that," okay, whatever. What skin off your ass is it? You're just trying to share this blip of time with other people. And what a better world it would be. It's so unreal to me how much Stockholm Syndrome is in the American psyche. It's a testament to how the billionaires, how their millionaire mouthpieces on the billionaire media have been successful. Now, I got to tell you, yesterday, I don't know if you saw on, I always critique the corporate media, but on MSNBC, for the first time, I saw a segment, and it was I think it was The Beat with Ari Melber, where he criticized President Biden and President Obama, for their both sides-ism concerning the media. So Joe Biden did it in one of his recent press conferences. I think it was that long press conference he gave, or one of them, whatever. He said that some people, we have silos of information. This is correct. Some people are watching Fox and they get their point of view. Others are watching MSNBC and they get that point of view. As if it's the same. And of course, MSNBC, they don't have to defend themselves. But if they make a mistake, there's a correction at least. Not on Fox News. They are deliberately misinforming people. And we have the tapes to prove it. There is nowhere in the whatever they were saying on MS. There's nothing untruthful about it. And if they make a mistake and say something that's not quite correct, like I said, there's a correction. You never have that on Fox News because it's not news. It's propaganda. Like on Ari Melber's show, he brought up the Business Insider article that I cite. I've been citing this article for years because it was back in, I think it was 2010. Let me look this up. Business people who watch Fox News are less informed. This came out, this is a study they did. Yeah. Oh, it was in 2012. So it was 10 years ago. Study. And I cite this article because nothing has changed. In fact, it's worse. Media outlets such as Fox and MSNBC have a negative impact on people's current events knowledge. So this is what the study says. While NPR and Sunday morning political talk shows are the most informative, researchers asked 1,185 random people nationwide. On average, people, whatever, let's get to the bottom. They found that someone who watched only Fox News they were expected to answer something whatever. Come on, get to the bottom. Hold on, I'll show you what I'm looking at so you can fumble around with me. The most popular media national Fox, CNN, MSNBC were the least informative, even though I don't know. You just get the headline. You see what I'm saying? Watching Fox News makes you less informed than watching no news at all. And they referenced that on Ari Melba's show. And there's other studies, of course, that Fox News victims are misinformed about. Pick an issue. If it benefits the working class, they're misinformed about it. And that's what's so frustrating. But not only living with all these racists, it's the stupidity. Of course, that's connected. And the eager dupes. They want to be peons. Really, they're begging for a trickle. This is Tara Devlin. Unapologetic liberal talk. So begging for a trickle. And this is what I find when I go online with these conservatives or whatever, and they just annoy me. And sometimes the stupidity, I feel, cannot be left to stand like a stench. You got to clean it up. And it's really a reflection of the corporate media. And so the study says MSNBC people they're not misinformed to the degree of, and they're not. This was 10 years ago, frankly. What are they misinforming about? A poll? That's all they do, is they talk about polls and they interview Trumpanzees. Let's check in. What are the Trumpanzees up to? And when I remember during the election, they interviewed a woman, she just randomly sitting in a diner, and she was like, well, it was during the primaries, the Democratic primaries. She's like, I'm voting for Bernie because I've noticed that you guys are really hammering him. And it means to me that it's really unfair and annoying. So he must be doing something right. That's paraphrasing it. But she said she was voting for Bernie because of the absolute incessant and nonstop bias against him. And you notice that. Now Bernie's good, right? He's being interviewed. He's good. But during the primaries, my God, I couldn't take it. It was relentless. And here's the thing. We know it here, and that's why I say, please become a patron and blah, 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 so we could keep this going and growing. I'd really like to keep it, I'd like to get it growing. God damn it. That's what she said. Yeah. But this is what we're up against. We connect the dots. And there's never a shortage of topics. The corporate media, you see, if we were a functioning democratic republic, the media would look so much different. And the American people would not be so not only divided and conquered, but misinformed. For example, from CNBC, Emmy Martin, you knew this already. The definition of middle class varies widely depending on who you ask. Now, let me tell you, the middle class went below 50% of the population for the first time in decades before the New Deal. for the first time during Twitler's administration. We referenced it here. We talked about it on the show. Why wasn't it on the ticker tape at Times Square or any of the corporate media channels? Wouldn't you think if we wanted if they wanted a functioning democracy, that would be the top of mind? Sort of like Fox News, for example, when that study came out. Watching Fox News makes people less informed. Nobody got fired at Fox News. Those same misinformationists are still there, and worse. Tuckyo Rose is still there. The stupidest man in media, Sean Hannity, is still there. In fact, it's worse because he had for a time there, not only he's a traitor, he had a direct line to the traitor-in-chief. Could you believe that? Every night, apparently, the orange baboon would call the stupidest man in television, and they would what? What do you think they were talking about? Were they talking about the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire? The 8-hour work day? Clara Lich? Or Lip? I don't know. Were they talking about the fact that the middle class is below 50% of the population? No. What do you think they were talking about? How's my polls? How's my poll? My poll's up, my poll's down. You know what you should do? Sir, you just say white people are being abused somehow. Tell them that all lives matter. And make sure you put on a heavy dose of "they're coming for you." Because that's all they did. These bastards, you are disgusting. But you don't have to fall for it, right-wingers. That's what makes me so sick about you. You're sick, and you're making the country sick with your tyranny of the minority, but you don't have to fall for the same old scam constantly. You can't have a democracy and a middle class at the same time. I mean, yeah, that's right. And a middle class lower than 50% of the population. That's impossible. It used to be kind of well known. Like Justice Louis Brandeis said, we have to make a choice, democracy or concentrated wealth, because we can't have both. And now we have the most concentrated wealth of all of our Western goddamn so-called democracy partners. That's an embarrassment. And this is what Joe Biden should be doing when he goes out there, or telling the people. The American middle class is, it's not even a middle class. It's less than 50% of the population. What the hell is that? And according to CNBC, that socialist rag, a new survey by Northwestern Mutual found that 70% of the American people consider themselves middle class. Now, these are older statistics, but however, a 2015 report shows that the middle class has been shrinking over the past decades and now make up only 50% of the total population. And it's worse. We went worse. We got worse. We went down. And I think it even went down further. Let me not look that up right now. So one reason for this discrepancy might be the fact that wages have been largely flat while costs have gone up. So in so many places, and making people with six-figure incomes feel like they're struggling to get by. Of the survey, participants who labeled themselves middle class, 50% earned between $50,000 and $120,000 annually. Although these Americans consider themselves in the middle, they actually qualify. Consider yourself in the middle. The actual dollar amounts needed to qualify in middle class are slightly lower. It is adults who earn a household income of $55,000. That means singles making between 24,000 and 74,000 are actually middle class. Single, let's get to the bottom here. According to the survey, most of the movement into the middle class has been upward. Fully 83% of the participants say they are middle class, but whatever, didn't say they were middle class 5 years ago. Only 57% of single men and 59% of single women label them such. But here's the thing. The point is, they think they're middle class. People think they're middle class, and they're not. If you go to Appalachia, and you interview someone living like the UN inspectors said in third world conditions, they'd probably say they're middle class. People living paycheck to paycheck think they're middle class. That's not middle class. That's how, right, Winston Smith. That's what I call it too. Heck, I can't even call it misinformation. That sounds like a mistake. Fox is malinformation. Absolutely. It's malicious and it's wrong. They're spreading bullshit. So here's the overarching frame that these Republicans come at me with when I'm talking about a country that works for all. They go to, oh, you're jealous. Okay? This is, I mean, come on. The right-wing billionaire propaganda has been so effective. You're jealous. If you had a better life, why don't you just work harder and stop being so jealous? This is what they say. We're jealous. No, honey. We want a democracy, not an autocracy, not a kleptocracy. And many people died for it. So we have an obligation to make sure it comes to fruition. Thank you, Jeff Vogel, for hanging out. New York City Labor Chorus. We will win. We're on the right side of history. Decency, dignity, democracy. My name is Tara Devlin. I'll see you soon. Wow. I thought I was running out of time there. You know, the time is off today. Whatever. All right, guys, we're back. This is Tara Devlin. Now I don't have to. Now I can just relax a little. Because we have another 35 minutes without any music cues. And I'll probably go a little long. Because, I don't know. I don't know how much I messed up the cue. So, yes. MSNBC is not perfect, but what the hell? According to this study, it said that people who watched The Daily Show with Jon Stewart answered questions correctly, as opposed to people who watch Fox News. Unreal. And in terms of international news, the American people were just appalling. They don't know anything. That's why a con man can get in there and exploit the fissures of disunity. This is what we're looking at. A fascist con man and his con men, turning America into an oligarchy while keeping the trappings of democracy, just like in other autocratic states that fall to autocracy. That's what Hitler did. Everything went by the book, by the vote, until it didn't. But I do believe that if the Republicans are successful, that we will go through the motions of voting. And that's all it'll be. They'll leave us that. We'll have to. It'll be a pantomime. We'll line up. will say, bing bong, I want to vote bing bong for you. There'll be campaign finance, there'll be ads, because the corporate media needs that buku bucks churning. The whole system is corrupt from top to bottom for greed. Greed. Greed is the only American value. That's another thing that I wish Joe Biden would start saying. I'm sorry. Yeah, he could put it in a nice way. Yeah, I don't. Our national motto is E pluribus unum, not I got mine. Sucks to be you. It's out of many one. That's how you have a democratic republic. And yeah, we are a multiracial democracy, and they can't stand that. And it's fascinating watching the right-wingers. Of course, they have no memory they have nothing. They're like goldfish that turn around in the bowl, and next thing, it's whatever Trump tells you to do. It's so, I mean, don't you have any dignity, Republican? I was speaking of dignity. What are you doing, Junior? On camera? No. On camera? It's all right. He's a cat. What are you going to do? But it's funny watching them flip out that Joe Biden said he's going to appoint a woman with darker pigment on the court. As if, see, the way that they're framing it is as if they're like, wow, he's being a racist. He's a racist. Why don't you just get the best person? Like who? Like Amy COVID Barrett? Sorry for screaming. That's the best? No, you know what happened? They knew. This is what I just heard on the court on MSNBC actually. I don't remember. It was on the background, but they were saying that when they were picking when Trump was picking his flunkies to sit on the court, that Amy COVID Barrett was in the first round. Remember when he got to pick the first Supreme Court justice despite receiving fewer votes? And they suggested Amy COVID Barrett, and Trump said, I'm saving her for Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Aren't they disgusting? So when Ruth Bader Ginsburg dies, we need her on there. We're going to replace her with some a fembot, somebody that looks like a woman but acts like a handmaid. And they just want to exchange her. It's a woman and a woman. Oh, well, right? That's why they were saying, as far as the Supreme Court, Candace Owens. So now the Republicans are crying, and they're saying that why doesn't Joe Biden stop playing the race card and pick the most qualified person when, of course, then they cue the tape of Trump saying, I'm picking a woman, and Reagan saying it, and on and on and on. It doesn't matter, It's like it is really a memory hole from the cult, and they have no dignity, they have no integrity to look at themselves because they know that people are dumb and all they want to do is say the N-word. They don't think they're free unless they can say the N-word, and they have successfully divided us into camps, and we give the Democrats plenty of grief too. That was a bipartisan initiative, dividing us into camps where we get different information. Well, Fox News is now is completely fascist propaganda. It is. And other people get news. They'll get some news, in between the polls. But if you want to look it up, go online. There are legitimate newspapers that have journalistic standards, not like Fox. There are standards and practices. that Fox doesn't abide by, because that news is not in their business model. So it's really disappointing when Joe Biden tries to compare them both. So we're both getting different information. Well, one is either they're both full of crap or one is. So which is the truth? Is it that the COVID-19 vaccine is dangerous? Is that it? Is it assault on our freedom? Is it, I mean, all of the lies. What else? Was the election stolen? No. These people are actively spreading anti-democratic, divisive lies meant to not just exploit the fissures of disunity, but blow them apart. Standards, my God. I mean, you look. Let's see. Here's one. Some COVID-19 falsehoods. Let's see. I'll show you what I'm looking at. Thousands of deaths have been reported in the vaccine adverse event reporting system. I mean, these are all lies. Lies. Absolute lies. The actual number isn't clear. This is, I mean, and the way he phrases everything like a question. I'm just asking, as a journalist. The actual number is almost certainly higher than that. Really? Where'd you get that? Not only did you pull the first stat out of your ass, you backed it up with some more. Right out of your ass. And amid COVID decline, Fauci warns of a new spike. You never hear Fauci talk like that. Or about ivermectin, because they haven't given any emergency use authorization. Oh, whatever. This is Ingram. So somebody knows him, told me, and I'd be interested in getting your take on it, that getting COVID emasculated him. It changed him. It feminized him. It made him weakened him as a man. Can you? This is on Tucker Carlson's show. What? Well, this is from his online show, but it's on his regular show too. It emasculated. Getting the COVID vaccine emasculated him. The other thing we know about fascism is its disdain for not just human rights and decency, dignity, democracy, but a disdain for all things female. Females in fascism are, unless you're serving the fascist hierarchy, which is straight acting white men at the top, you're only accepted if you're doing that. If you're subservient to that hierarchy. But you could be a douche like Sarah Palin. You could be an idiot, a moron. They'll put you right up front, like the vice president, like they did to us with her, putting her a heartbeat away, a 78-year-old man's heartbeat away from the presidency. That moron. Instead of that moron, we got the orange moron. But the whole thing is a con. They're just con artists looking for their grift. And Trump has a great grift. He found a pool of suckers that he can exploit. And the Republicans reveal who they are because they don't care. They don't care. Like I said, greed is the only American value, and that's fine. That's fine with Republicans. They don't like American values anyway. They never did. Oh my God. Let's see. Overall, the equation is very unfavorable of vaccination of anyone below age 30. unless we have a compelling case, no one under age 30 should receive any of these vaccines. These are the doctors, so-called, they're having on. It never stops. The grift never stops. But Trump never found a more lucrative grift in his life. He tried. He tried the vitamins. He tried the water, the non-FDA approved vitamins. He tried the scam university, the scam charity, the scam shuttle. Man, everything he did sucked. And not only that, he's not an innovator. He has not only good ideas, but new ideas. You talk about ideas? His only idea is money. But food goes in here. My smaller than average Mario Kart looking penis goes in there. And money goes in here, in my pockets. That's all. That's all he is. And then he's just a big, fat baboon. And I'm not fat shaming him. I'm just, he's just, big as a whatever. I'm not going to explain it. I'm trying. But as my sponsor used to say, trying is dying. America's hollow middle class. This is from Ann Helen Peterson from Vox. The cost of living has risen, wages have not. How long have we been reading articles like this? And they've, as long as they've been posting them. But we can go back 10 years and read this. The cost of living has risen, wages have not. Wages have been stagnant for 30 years. Now they're supposedly ticking up a little. But as far as wages in relation to productivity, we know that it's should be the middle. I mean, if you want to be real here, the middle. What do you call it? Not middle class. The minimum wage should be $30 an hour. It should be around 30. If wages kept up with productivity, and it's not because we don't have a union movement, and maybe it's building again. But one of the things on that little Twitter spat I was having, somewhere in there, someone said that, defending Joe Manchin's not giving a shit about anybody else but himself, he said, well, there's a union rate of 10% in West Virginia. Man, I didn't look it up, but if that's the case, oh, wow, a whole 10%. Gee. It used to be 35%. That's too low in my opinion, but that's the way it was in the Great Prosperity. You want to go back? I know they want to go back to this mythical perfect land, that utopia that they live in their minds. And you know what that place looks like? It's a bunch of white so-called straight people, acting, getting rich, being at the top of the heap, and everybody else doing everything to ensure that they remain in the catbird seat of power. So we were all running around here, men with darker pigment, women with darker pigment, women to prop up the so-called top of the food chain. But if you're so great, why do you need so much privilege? Why do you need so much help? Why do you need all of us to work and bow down to your supposed superiority? And that's what the Republican, when we were talking about the Joe Biden putting a person of darker pigment on the Supreme Court. Well, that's good. He's putting a woman with darker pigment. He already put a man with darker pigment on the Supreme Court. That was Clarence Thomas. Thanks, Joe. He put Clarence Thomas on the Supreme Court. I love that. They keep talking about how Joe Biden was on the Senate Judiciary Committee, but they never do connect the dots. He's the one that basically ignored Anita Hill, ignored the corroborating witnesses that wanted to testify and shoved this unqualified token, Uncle Clarence Thomas, on the bench. So now he's going to put someone of darker pigment, a woman, and that woman, you better believe it, there was a list that I was reading, some of the people, all of them are completely overly qualified. Are you kidding me? That's the way it has to be, though. When you have darker pigment, you have to be like Paul Robeson, You got to be just up above and beyond what the mediocre white person gets away with. And, for example, well, you know how I feel about Pete Buttigieg, but he's a case in point. Would you ever have a woman of darker pigment being a mayor, going from mayor to thinking they could be the president? It would never, ever, it wouldn't even it wouldn't happen. People would be like, this is ridiculous. She's underqualified. You never, well, she needs more experience. But did you ever hear that about Pete Buttigieg? No, because that's the white man's, that's his natural place. All right, Junior. Hold on. Why? Just please. Look at him. He's waiting. He's waiting to pounce. What's going on in the chat room? Less pigment doth not make you superior. In fact, some could argue, Paradu says. Well, it does to them. I just love they're criticizing Joe Biden as picking someone too far left, and he hasn't even picked one yet, right? He hasn't picked anybody yet. It's great. And they're saying, oh, he's a racist. This is what I hear. And it's also what I see when I monitor the conservative boards on Reddit. That they're all, they love to call other people racists, right? So if you're somebody that wants, like tonight, when we're talking about what happened in the 1600s, that race is a construct, that little white whiners have been given, they're not the top of the food chain, but yet here we are. And they'll say, you're a racist. They talk about reverse racism, which is not even a thing. And that's and they also think that, that normal people call them racists, and it's not fair. It's the only thing we have. They just we just say racists. That's it. And they complain about it, that no matter what, they'll call us racists. Well, honey, no, we won't. Stop being racist. We're trying to help you with that, in fact. And no, it's not critical race theory unless you're going to law school, and I highly doubt it because you can't get out of the goddamn 8th grade, half of you. You have a reading level. Oh, that's another thing. Somebody said on the West Virginia thing, oh, well, West Virginia has a higher literacy rate than California and New York. And that might be true. And I said, literacy, first of all, thank you, socialism. What do you think would be happening in West Virginia if there weren't any government schools? If kids weren't required to go to government school and learn how to read? Thanks, socialism. Thank you, teachers. But just because that literacy rate means nothing. That just means you know how to read. Here in New York and in California, we have a lot more people, some of whom don't have, English is not their first language. So, I mean, the devil's in the details, really. And that's what they do. They cherry pick some stuff. So literacy rates are higher in West Virginia. That doesn't mean anything. That means nothing except that socialism works. And, nobody wants to go to West Virginia. Except for Robyn Kincaid. I will go there for our gathering over the summer. the horning. But other than that, I don't know. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Oh, they have a higher literacy rate. So what does that mean? That means that West Virginia should, Joe Manchin is correct in voting to make the rich richer. That's the translation. And they are eager to please their billionaire masters. It's really pathological and sad watching them do what they can. It's like the indentured servants from the 1600s. They really, they knew how stupid these white idiots are and how easily they would fall for it, for the manipulation. And they do. Not only that, their ancestors, and I'm sure their heritage doesn't go back that far in this country, but you see what I'm saying? They fall for the same old tricks because if you have a literacy rate that's high, what about your intellectual curiosity rate? Right? No, you're burning books or wanting to. You're calling for books to be banned because you're triggered. And they think that's freedom. Freedom, right? They're free. See, all of what's going on in the school board when all these idiots are coming and screaming and yelling and bringing their guns, saying, I know, my baby needs to breathe. He came home, he said he's an oppressor, and he can't even breathe. And who are they talking about? I don't want parents to be triggered or upset. The parents should not have to what? What parents? You know what they're talking about. They're talking about white privilege. They don't want their little white snowflakes to figure out that race is a construct, that we're in this together. They don't want them to figure that out. They don't want them to figure out that we've been oppressed. Not only the people with darker pigment, the whole effing swath of us. Is that a word? It is now. Have been oppressed by this fiction that the Republicans are perpetrating. And I don't even care. Now they'll say, well, what about Uncle Tim Scott? Well, they'll leave out the uncle. And what about, whatever they are, whatever the minority du jour that they have to, as a human shield. Like, that's Candace Owens. She's a human shield for Republican bigotry. Same thing. Tim Scott, Uncle Tim. How are you, a person of darker pigment in this country, and you with a straight face? Not only are you a Republican, you get up there and you assure the racists that America is not a racist country. It isn't? Then what are you so concerned about? Why are you banning books written by Toni Morrison? You don't want to read anything from the perspective of somebody who's not got the pigment you have? Everything it's reflected in, like I'm saying, this Joe Biden, the Supreme Court thing that's happening, and the Republican freak out. It's not even a freak. They're on that level constantly. It's tedious. But we knew it was coming. It's as if, really, the underlying message is that the only meritocracy is when white people are at the top. See, there's no other, if all things are equal and everyone is just assessed for who they are on ability, naturally, white suckers rise to the top. That's the message they're saying. Oh, he's being racist. Why doesn't he just pick the right person? That's what they say about Trump, what Trump did. Yeah, he picked majority white people. Well, Amy Coney Barrett, for example, her too. She was not only she has no integrity, she's a horrible person because she took the seat of a person of darker pigment that Obama was trying to put this person on the court. And Moscow Mitch played his dirty tricks and blocked it. And Amy Coney COVID bitch Barrett had no problem waltzing in and stealing that seat, helping Moscow Mitch steal that seat. They have no integrity. They have no honor. And they don't like democracy. You think somebody that's in a cult that calls herself a handmaid is somebody that likes democracy? That's somebody that needs hierarchy. And she's there as the agent of this hierarchy. And, of course, white men got to be at the top. And they are against everything that this country is supposed to be. They're against freedom from religion. That's what they want. They're shoving their sick, twisted version of Christianity down the throats of Americans. And we don't want it. The American people, I don't want to hear this shit. We're a center-right nation. Get the F out of here. We're a center-right nation where that's over 70% believe we should have universal health care. Over 70% want Joe Biden's Build Back Better plan. They want to pay $35 for insulin. They know it's a crime that Americans die on the way to their third uniquely American low-paying job because they are cutting their insulin in half. But, Uncle Tim.
Nowhere do we need common ground more desperately than in our discussions of race. I have experienced the pain of discrimination.
Oh, you look
I know what
pained.
it feels like to be pulled over for no reason, to be followed around the store while I'm shopping.
I'm sure you do.
I remember every morning at the kitchen table, my grandfather would open the newspaper and read it, I thought. But later I realized he had never learned to read it.
Oh, really?
He just wanted to set the right example.
Because America's not a racist nation, you see? America's not a racist nation. His grandfather couldn't read, but America's not a racist nation. They had nothing to do with the school system or the economic system. Your grandfather wanted to set a good example. Did you think maybe your grandfather wanted to actually read the paper? He could have been taught, like the illiterates in the intellectually incurious literates in West Virginia. They don't want to read. They're taking books out of the library, and not to borrow them. They're taking them to the pyre. I get it's like, oh my God, what am I can't even talk because when this kind of crap gets put out there, it's propaganda. The twistedness of it. It's completely ass backwards. What are you talking about? My grandfather wanted to pretend to read to show me a good example, but America's not a racist nation. It's like the cognitive dissonance. Your grandfather, why couldn't he read? If he was smart enough to want to set a good example, I guess he thought that education, reading was of value. Something that he didn't have and was trying to rectify. But I would put my money on it that I think your grandfather would rather read instead of pretending to read. Oh, here we go. There's a friggin' Russian bot. Bye-bye. I'm so sick of these damn Russian bots. Junior.
Experience a different kind of intolerance.
Oh.
I get called Uncle Tom and the N-word by progressives.
Bullshit. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Okay? Yeah, Uncle Tom, maybe. Yeah. Bullshit. You've been called the N-word by progressives. I'd really like to challenge that. Prove it. You know, just everybody's got a camera these days, but these assholes are supposedly getting death threats and getting called the N-word and all this. They never produce any evidence. We have to show you get somebody getting murdered on the street to get a semblance of justice. But these idiots just get taken at their word. The same ones who are spreading the big lie. They're spreading all the lies. They're spreading the big, little, and medium-sized lies and all the lies in between. You get that. I mean, when I heard this, when he first gave this speech, I thought, bullshit. I thought the same thing. Prove it. Prove it. That's all you got to say. I want you to prove it. Where'd they call you the N-word? This is a senator walking around. You think he's just walking down the street by himself? And somebody says the N-word? You got some corroborating evidence? Somebody can back you up? How about an independent witness? If they called you the N-word online, let's see it. Did they send you an email? Did they speak to your staff? Did they put it on your voicemail? Let's hear it. That's what I mean. They're full of it. They're full of this bullshit, and it's all meant to divide. Absolute bullshit. No, I can't stand this friggin' both sides crap. That's why we're being that's why democracy's swirling the bowl. This both sides bullshit, and it's meant because you know why? It's meant to salve the very fragile everything of the right wingers. It's always. I'm so sick of it. Wait, I want to move him. I know, honey. I know. Oh, almost fell. Sitting on the keyboard again, the producer. He should know better. But right, am I right? In fact, I don't know. You guys we were talking about TV shows. The show 1883, I think I really enjoy it. It's up my alley, so to speak. I love that kind of stuff, and it's really epic. And the way it's shot, it's incredible. And I love the story, I love the history, and I also love that the person who made it is trying to be as historically accurate as possible with the costumes and whatnot. But there was a scene where there's flashback, and the Union general puts his hands on the Confederate who's crying. What are you crying about, traitor? All right, guys. This is Tara Devlin. God damn it. Become a patron at patreon.com/Tara Devlin to keep the real liberal media going and growing. If you want, I don't know. We're on the right side of history. We're on the right side of decency, dignity, democracy. We will win. We stick together. We win. Thank Jeff Vogel from the New York City Labor Chorus. This is Tara Devlin. I'll see you soon. Ba-da-da-da. Something's wrong there. All right. Yeah. I swear, I fixed that. I don't know. It never stops. But I appreciate you guys for not expecting a better produced show. We got this guy, the producer, and then we got this guy. That reminds me of a story, actually, because my father had Alzheimer's. I told you guys that. It was horrible. My father's passed away now, But he had Alzheimer's for the last 10 years of his life. It sucked. And it got to the point where he didn't recognize his family anymore. And of course, it's terrible and heartbreaking, but I would go and visit him I went every other weekend up, and he was in a home in New Jersey at this point because he needed round-the-clock care. And my sister was taking care of him, but it just became too much. You need a professional, right? So thank God for Medicaid and Medicare. That's another story. Anyway, whatever. This is a short story. Doesn't need all the build-up, but I would go, and you have to sign them out, the residents, when you go and you take them somewhere. And I would sign and be like, okay, Dad, come on. So I would take him shopping, or he would just, take him to the pet store, and he'd pet the little puppies and whatnot. And it was nice. And we would sing Judy Garland songs. We would put on Judy at Carnegie Hall because he knew some of these songs from long ago. And so anyway, when I went there one day and I signed him out and he goes, they say, "Where you going, John?" "I don't know. I'm going with this guy." That was me. So yeah, you just got to laugh. Or you cry. "I'm going with this guy." So that's what we say sometimes. This guy. Going with this guy. But anyway, whatever. Yeah, in this country, we had to do what people do. They sell. My parents had to sell their house to my sister and try to prepare for not being cleaned out. That's what happened. People do that. Because here in the United States of serfs and lords, you either have to be on the balls of your ass or rich. If you're in that middle in any way, you're being assaulted constantly. Financially, spiritually, everything. I mean, really, this country, honestly, if I lived in another country, it. I would be looking at this country like, thank God I don't live there. There's a few countries like that. Like, I look at Afghanistan. That's what I say. Oh, man, I'm lucky I wasn't born there. And I feel for those who were to have to live. And I think about all of the people, I mean, humanity is so diverse and vast. And these religious fanatics, all they want to do is make us small. When we have so much humanity, we want to sing, we want to write poetry, we want to make love, we want to be in love, we want to, connect, and it's not just. I mean, it's so offensive to me to tell you that I get into trouble, but the fact is, I find burqas and whatnot to be an offense to not just humanity. Of course, it's an offense to humanity. It should be offense to everybody. It is symbolic annihilation, and it pisses me off. That's what they do. You erase somebody. I mean, how disgusting is that? So anyway, that's one of the countries that I say, thank God I wasn't born there. North Korea, that's another one. Yeah, and the autocracies, of course. Right? But here, the thing that sucks is that we were promised. We were promised something. We were promised a democratic republic. I'm losing my voice. Why? I don't know. Anyway, I had something else to say, but I forgot it. And I guess I have to go because I have to cut the show now. And I messed up. And so I don't know how bad it's going to be. brother. It's always something. Guys, I want to thank you. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you enjoyed the labor chorus. I wanted to get more. Maybe we'll do this during the week. I'm going to do as many shows as I can because I wanted to we'll talk about Clara Lemlich and the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire. It always goes by so fast. And we'll talk about that. And I do hope that people contact the New York City Labor Chorus and get involved. And if you live in another state, if you're outside the New York tri-state area, you can always support the Labor Chorus and get their CD, which they should digitize. Like I should take these CDs off the wall. And I've been thinking about it. I got to do that. I got to do it. Video beatdown snack? What do you mean, Paradu? We can. All right, let's do it. What do you want to do? Something that's annoying, of course. Let's see. Am I whispering again? Where did this come from? My whispering. And not talking into the mic. Where the hell did this come from? Let's see. What do we got? Oh, remember this? Oh. No, you're going to get sick if I show you this. Ugh.
I know you're hurt. We had an election that was stolen from us. It was a landslide election, and everyone knows it, especially the other side.
Wow. The other
hurt.
side. The other side. Let's, this is what I think the Republicans are doing all they can to continue the power of this unfit con man. What does that say? All I can say is that I really do hope that the normal majority is sick of it. Mark C on the chat says, I was talking to a friend today in Poland, and she couldn't believe the state of childcare in the U.S. She was aghast to hear the cost of childcare here was about the same as going to college. Isn't that disgusting? Yeah, because here in the United States of serfs and lords, they have the idiots conditioned to think that all the money, if it doesn't flow to the top, then they're somehow they get trickled on. It's very bizarre. And if you can't find childcare, affordable childcare, to go to work, you are you're just lazy and looking for a handout. That's the message of the billionaires. These idiots are repeating, and I wonder. I say to them, keep repeating it. Maybe one day a billionaire will trickle on you. They'll trickle all over you. Trickle in your mouth, trickle on your face. Don't get any trickle in your eyes. It stings. I've been told by other, Chris Christie. He was begging for trickles all the time. It was getting all over the place. But how much? How much longer are you going to beg? Another 30 years? Now we're 40 years. I used to say 30. I said it was 30 years 10 years ago. So 40 years of being a useless idiot just because you're racist and you are afraid. You're just goddamn afraid. And nothing says fear more than burning books and dictating what people could talk about. Read in school. Young people. Stuff that's on the curriculum when I was growing up is now too controversial for these snowflakes. Mouse? They're banning these pricks? Mouse? Oh, because it had a boobie? The mouse. It's a fucking mouse. We have boobies. People have sex. Stop being such a repressed bunch of freaks. It only speaks to your sickness. People aren't obsessed with peepees the way you are. It's pathological. Get help for it. God damn it. Right? The pee-pee patrol. And the problem is the both sides. It really is. It's the media, and then the establishment enables the fascism with the both sides bullshit and other things, of course. But the whole both sides, they talk about a divided country, and then they continue to divide us. Even just what Joe Biden was saying. And anybody else sick of Republicans saying, I thought you were going to be a unifier. You promised. You promised to be a unifier, which, you know what? Fuck that. I know it's the end of the show, and I read a comment that there weren't enough curses. But really, fuck that. They promised to be a unifier. So we have to unify around fascism. That's Joe Biden needs to say, yes, I promised to be a unifier, but we're unifying around the working class. We're unifying around rebuilding the middle class, now below 50% of the population. We're not unifying around the old stale fascist kiss up, kick down ideas that made greed the only American value. That's what Joe Biden needs to say. Say, I'm sick of greed being the only American value. Enough. That's what you want to unify? According to Republicans, that means doing everything they want. That is a Nazi take on things. That's what the Nazis thought. Yeah, that was their version of unity too. They get all the power. Unreal. Yep. All right. Yeah. And it really goes down to money and politics. That's greed yet again. We would have our assault weapon problem under control. I mean, the other thing that pisses me off is that and the way the Democrats don't correct the assholes when they're saying that the Second Amendment, they're talking about we have a Second Amendment. I keep hearing this from, like, for example, they played a bunch of threats that people working, volunteers who are volunteering, doing their patriotic duty to help a free and fair election. They're getting harassed by the douchebags, and they're saying that we have a Second Amendment, and that is a fallacy. Yeah, there's a Second Amendment, but it's not so you can kill politicians you don't like. I mean, what kind of stupid system would that be? That's not why the founders fought a revolution. They didn't like, okay, let's fight a revolution and make this this liberal democracy birthed in the age of enlightenment from the wisdom of the Enlightenment. And let's you know what we're gonna do after they vote, if the other people don't like it, they could kill the other people. They're so dumb. It's beyond. It hurts. It hurts everything. And the Democrats never correct them. I hope that stops too. No, the Second Amendment is not so you can go around killing politicians you don't like, asshole. You don't like a politician? You want to get power? That's called an election, you dumb bastard. It's not the Second Amendment. If you want to play with an assault rifle, go and join the well-regulated militia. National Guard. That's what that is? I get it. Right? It's right there. It is right there. Well-regulated. Well-regulated. What? It's not lightly regulated. I'll take that. We'll hold the salt or whatever. A little sprinkle of salt. It's fucking well regulated. a well-regulated militia is not some douchebag who wants to play army, but he can't do one push-up because he's a disgusting moron who just shoves anything in his mouth because he hates himself. And he thinks it's people with darker pigments problem. And he doesn't feel like a man, so he stuffs his beer belly into a flak jacket. He looks like a douche. Go work out. Run. Do a push-up. Maybe they'll accept you. But that's too much of a commitment for them. You see, they want they're lazy. Like the fascists in Congress and in the legislature, they're lazy. They don't want to have to work for their corruption, for their legal bribes. Like, they want to say, filibuster, that's it. I did a filibuster. See you later. They don't want to have to build a coalition and do a tag team and get up there and wear diapers and fucking talk like the idiot who tried to block, Strom Thurmond tried to block the Civil Rights Act. Oh, he's a Democrat. He was a Democrat. There was somebody on Tom Hartman who called up, there was a Democrat. The same old canards. Well, why don't you eat this shit sandwich that I put on an ice cream cone and I call it chocolate? Take a lick if you don't mind. It doesn't matter what things are, just what they're called, right? He was a Democrat. The Democrats in the 1860s. Yeah. Now things have changed. I mean, it's over 100 years ago, moron. But like I said, take a lick. Take a lick of that delicious ice cream I just put in front of you. That my cat made. I mean, it's called delicious ice cream. Lick it. You'll love it. That's what they think. Yeah, it doesn't matter what it's called. The Democrats were the ones who were racist, and the Republicans free the slave. Well, they say, free the slave. That's too PC to say enslave people, or it's too much. Oh, what now? Something else I gotta say. Oh my God. Living in this world with them is so hard. Yes, Haiku says, death is too good a fate for Trump. Let him rot on the vine into a prune of a never man. Like every miserable day with his miserable self. No escape. Absolutely. He hates himself, too. I mean, we hate him, but no one hates him more than himself. He knows what a fraud he is. That's why everything's like, look at me. Poll. Look at the poll. Up in the poll. Down. That's why he needs his narcissistic supply. That's what that's called. And those idiots are happy to oblige. They have no dignity. They have no integrity. It's amazing. But that's why we have to do more. And it sucks. We have to, well, anyway. I am concerned. I'm sick of the media saying that the Republicans are going to win in the midterms. Time will tell. And I told you the other thing, the morons, on the corporate media, they were saying how, and the Democrats are the Democrats and Republicans are neck and neck in the polls for who controls Congress. But the Democrats have to overcome a 5% disadvantage due to gerrymandering. So maybe we should do something about that. And that's democracy, too. It's amazing. Guys, people from other countries watching or listening, it's amazing. We have a system where the people who receive the fewer votes represent fewer people with a dead-ender, fewer want-it ideology. They're the ones that get power. And then the ones who are in the majority, actually, on the right side of history, and decency, dignity, democracy, the ones who are doing things that the people want them to do, representing the people and trying to make the government work for them in spite of the legal bribes. You know, with a bone here and there. We'll get to the legal bribes, hopefully. But those are the ones who have to be like, you know, I think I'm going to get some Republican votes on this one. Who fucking cares? Oh, well, they have a slim majority. Does that have anything to do with the gerrymandering, the voter suppression? No, they don't. No, they don't. Democrats don't have a slimmer majority because they represent millions more people. But that is incidental to the Republicans because they're an anti-democratic death cult. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I gotta go and cut down this goddamn show. Oh, wow. Pookie's mom, Irene, says, my grandfather passed away in 2012. His letter of gratitude was signed by President Obama. That's great. That's one for the history books there. You got to pass that on. You got to save that. Yes, haiku, like nobody's ever seen. Like nobody's ever seen, like nobody's ever seen. It's numbing. And they're like, you better get... and they're all going to jail. Not all, but going to jail for this orange asshole who with the fake university and the vitamin scam. It's amazing. That's what racism will do, guys. It really is. They don't care. They can put, you could put Sarah Palin up there. They don't care. Any moron will do. And that's the other thing with Sarah Palin. Just back then, we were talking about, I was, whatever. I wasn't doing this show, but we would talk about the fact that the Republicans picked Sarah Palin is just completely emblematic to their whole disgusting, whatever they are, just a cult. And it was Steve Schmidt and that other one, Nicole Wallace. Steve Schmidt was the one who suggested this horrible, disgusting person because she fit the suit. They needed a female, to like seem like you give a shit about the bitches that you're trying to control. And they flew up to Alaska to meet the bitch and the moron, and they offered her the job because she ticked off different boxes. She was so-called evangelical. She was she was anti-life. She was pro-dead women in alleys. And and that's another thing Democrats never push back on. I don't get it. Right? You don't like abortion, vote Democratic, because abortion rates go down on the Democratic. Okay. But the Republican, they went up there, they're like, okay, she fits the suit. And then less than a month into it, she had a good showing when she was on the debate stage with Joe Biden. Remember, can I call you Joe? Because I'm a fucking grifter. And I want to seem all Holmesy and shit to the dummies who are going to vote for me while I slit their throats. Ha! And a couple of caribou are going to die, and a moose is going to be snuffed out for film for my reality show. Just for the purposes of showing the dupes that I'm as bloodthirsty and indifferent to anybody else but myself as they are. Offensive. If you're decent, if you have a heart, if you care, if you're conscious, if you, don't just blindly shove shit in your mouth and swallow it like Twitler does, then you're not acceptable. You're a snowflake to them. But anyway, whatever. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. I don't know. Anyway, we'll see what happens with Palin and her. But that's, well, she has COVID, but I think she had it before. She's unvaccinated. I don't know what's happening. I'm not in. I don't care. And unless it's a announcement of something, either way. But yeah, the fact that they picked her, and then Steve Schmidt, he atoned for, he apologized later on for it, but it was his fault. Yeah, the DORE. His excuse was that they knew that they weren't gonna win. That's why they went through with it. They should just kicked her off. Kicked her off the ticket. Say, we made a mistake, and this bitch is not qualified. She was not only not qualified because she was a moron. She knew nothing. Just like Republicans. I could see Russia from my house. They had to give her lessons in world history. I know this shit when I was 12. It's fascinating. If I was living in another country, it would be fascinating. Here, it's infuriating. So they had to give her why would you inflict that on the American people? A moron who needed a lesson in world history, not even world history, just the last 75 years. The history of, World War II and NATO, and that's what these people, you ask any of them, throw a rock and randomly give them a test, a history test. They'll fail. Meghan McCain. Pookie's Mom Marian says Meghan McCain says Palin should leave politics. She's not in politics. She's a troll. They're not in politics. Jim Jordan isn't in politics. Uncle Tim Scott isn't in politics. They're just trolls. That's all they do. Troll and own the libs, which is not patriotic. That's another thing. Come on, Democrats. I hope you're listening to this show. Because, it's not patriotic. You want to trigger the libs? If that's your motivator, you're not a patriot. Okay, that's all. You shut that shit down. Yeah. And then, with Palin, Steve Schmidt, even I love his wordsmithing. He's brilliant. But, he's not a moron like them, so it's a shame. That's what happens. Money. He was getting paid. He was getting paid to do a job, so it goes out the window, the integrity. He's like, all right. They knew she was unfit. And not only that she would also apparently, she would break down. She just had this, and also not just the mental breakdowns, overwhelming, and then not be able to come out of a corner for days. She was mean. Well, that's what Steve Schmidt said. And we know that she was mean. Not a nice person, just a mean bitch who thought she was above everybody and didn't have anything to back it up, but some bullshit, some outside, some facade they build. And that's Trump. That's all of them. That's Jim Jordan pretending he's working for the people. That's all of them. That's Chris Christie going around with a camera yelling at teachers union, retirees, but going on a jet in the middle of the night to apologize in person to Sheldon Adelson because he said something wrong. He phrased something wrong. He was talking about Israel. It's just, God. And they don't care. They don't care. And the corporate media? The corporate media don't care either. The corporate media will just do another poll on the morons. What do you think, moron? Yeah, I think that no, both parties should not control. I don't want the election controlled by any party. Yeah, that's what we're trying to do with the bill that you praise Kristen Sinema. for thwarting. Because she was just doing it bipartisan. All right, guys, that's the end of the show. I think. I keep saying that. I've been saying that for like 50 minutes. Thank you, Covert White Rabbit, for your super chat under the radar. I mean, right before we stop the show. Other people can, if you want to super chat, please do. And also, if you can, become a patron at patreon.com/TaraDevil. That helps to keep us going and grow. Even if it's $2 a month, we just need people. It looks better, and that attracts more people. What do I know? I've been saying please become a patron. It'll be on my headstone. All right, my friends, listen. We will have some more shows. We got more to talk about. I swear. We're going to do something about Clara Lemlich, and I keep promising we'll talk about the corruption or corruptible, who gets power. That one. I want to talk about that too. I keep teasing it, but other things happen. I don't know. We'll see each other soon, very soon. If you want to connect in between shows, you can join our Discord page, and you can always contact me there. And others like Haiku, like who else is there? Like Shadowstar Ace and Mark C. And Mark C just posted another, and we're going to have Mark C on the show soon. That's another thing, Mark C. Because Mark has his own thing, which is needed. I think we should watch Tarabuster and then watch Mark's videos about self-help and making yourself want to live in this world. ARadicalU.com. That's Mark C's. Is it .com? ARadicalU. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And you can make an appointment. Am I right, Mark C? Or am I wrong? I know there's like a 10-second delay. All right. Guys. We will win. That's right. Because we're on the right side of history. Thank you, Mark C. It is ARadicalU.com. I need it. I watch Mark's videos too. Because they're good. It's good advice. It's good. We got to keep our hearts and minds and souls. We have to keep ourselves up and motivated. So we can fight these fascist bastards. And we will win. It's true. We're on the right side of history. We're on the right side of decency, dignity, and democracy. Thank you guys so much. Oh my God, there's another bot I gotta get rid of. Thank you so much for hanging out. My name is Tara Devlin. Unapologetic liberal talk. We stick together. We win. I'll see you soon.